So I would like to say a warm welcome from my side here. I'm very happy to be invited in Brno. Brno and Leipzig are sister cities. And I was just wondering in the past two presentations from Denmark if I should be intimidated now to present what we were thinking about doing right and how we do it. But I decided not to be intimidated, and also defending our title, Sustainable Mobility, and that means made in Leipzig. So we do know that we're not just thinking about sustainable mobility, or we do not think that we reach that level, but we're discussing it already. And this is a step that we had to go, and I would like to take you on a short, very short time journey about from where we started, where we now, and why we think ourselves as climber cities when we talk about cycling. So I will talk a little bit about cycling too, but first I would like to give you some first idea about Leipzig and talk about pedestrians and how we developed our city. So Leipzig, as I said already, is your sister city. I'm not really sure if you're familiar with that. So usually the partner cities, the sister cities, are not very often well known in the cities, but you have two German sister cities. The other one is Stuttgart. So whenever you will refer to cycling in Leipzig and you say, oh, we cannot do this because of topography, then you can check Stuttgart, and they found a solution with electrifying bicycles and having the same situation with a lot of hills in the city limit. So where are we? Leipzig. Leipzig is located as an old trade place at two middle-age trading streets, sorry. So we have a north-south from the Baltic to Italy, and an east-west from Spain to Kiev. So at this intersection, the city of Leipzig was founded, and they told me to walk around. They didn't tell me that there's tables here. So, and now this is our city center. It's quite compact, and you can still see the Middle Age ring around it. It's a green ring. I think it's quite similar from the structure what I see also in Brno. We have to the left our city center, to the right our university, and in the back our train station. So the city center has a lot of functions, and it's very compact. We have a long-standing tradition with classical music, boy choirs more than 800 years now, also classic German composers, and you will hear something later from Vienna. And after Vienna, in the German-speaking countries, Leipzig has the most classical musicians and composers in its history. Then from this intersection of two trading roads, very early on, Leipzig became also a place for fairs, for trading fairs. And what I learned about Brno, also Brno is in the Czech Republic, a place where a lot of fairs take place. So there's another similarity. In Leipzig, we have also the International Transport Forum. So for me as a transport planner, we're very proud to be the host of this once-a-year event from the OECD, when more than 50 transport ministers from all over the world join in Leipzig and see what we're up to, what we're doing. Now, this is where we came from. This is a picture 30 years ago, just south of the city limits. Leipzig is in East Germany, so it's just an hour by train south of Berlin, the capital. And this is the situation how it was in the end of the 1980s. It was an industrial area, and it was maybe the most polluted region in Europe. Coal industry, mining industry, heavy industry, chemical industry, textile industry. And this was the result. And the starting point in the 1990s, where does our city want to go? Where are we heading to? Where shall we develop our city? What shall we discuss for our transport future? In the early 1990s, just after the German reunification, there was an explosion of car ownership. And we had a city that was not ready to carry on the infrastructure that was built over the last 40 years, or not built over the last 40 years till then, to carry such high traffic volumes. And in 1993, the city council decided we will have to protect our city center from this overboarding car use, and decided we'll have a concept in German called autoarme Innenstadt, in English reduced access for car for the city center, limited access by car for the city center. This was in 1993, and this is why the people looked out of the window and decided we need something like this. So I will jump now. This is today. You can see where we are located, just south of Berlin. It's the east part. Brno is the second biggest city after the capital Prague in the Czech Republic. We are the second biggest city in East Germany after Berlin. We are a growing city now. You can see some of our growth numbers in the corner to the right. This is important for Leipzig because 20 years ago we had more than 100,000 people less. And in 1990, in the very first years, we lost a fifth of your population. Just in 4 or 5 years, people left the city because of the bad quality of life, because of the pollution, because 180,000 jobs in industry were lost, unemployment were rising, 25% was in the middle of the end of the 1990s, the unemployment rate. So all the economical figures were going downhill, and the question was, how can we live in a city that is dissolving, disintegrating? That was till the end of the 1990s. It's different now. As you can see, we're growing. And I will tell you what we did in between. There's another number, which is the road network, the total road network of all our streets, and the bicycle network. In 1990, we started with 70 kilometers. Now we have more than 460 kilometers. And this is only bicycle networks at streets. In parks and recreational areas in the forest, we have another 500 to 600 kilometers in addition of the usable, for cyclists usable network. We have, from the outside of the city, a ring of highways. So we have solved this. You can see this was dotted here. It's closed now. So we have some measurements and could take away some pressure from the car traffic and truck traffic from the city. We had some development with our airport. If you look for passengers in Germany and connections to Leipzig, it's it's not big. It's like, I don't know, 12, 14. But you see the yellow plane there. And the yellow plane means we're very big in freight now, air freight. So DHL was moving his capital hub, a Europe hub, from Brussels to Leipzig. And this was a starting point. You can see from the numbers from 2004 to today, a starting point of logistics, and Leipzig being one of the logistics hubs. I told you unemployment was very high. Logistics is low trained people, low income people in the end. So it's not really that beneficial for the city, but it reduces the unemployment rate. And next development was that we have, or were able to attract 2 car manufacturers. One was BMW, the other one was Porsche. So we're talking about sustainability today, and it's, as you can see, for Leipzig it's great to build cars, but we have a concept of not letting those cars in the city center that easy. So we have to balance this out in a political discussion. Here you maybe have some idea about the basic outline of our city. Everything red is the old city from the end of the 19th century with the city center. You can see the ring around. There are some lakes to the south, and those lakes were originally open coal mining fields. And now they're a recreational area very close to the city center and very good in reach also by cycling from the city center. And to the north you have the new factories. And numbers, I'm transport planners, please forgive if I will show you too many numbers, but there are some numbers, and they show change. Very often you hear, people won't change. They won't change the mobility behavior. But what we can see here, they did. Not everything is in the direction that we wanted. So if you compare the numbers from GDR times in '87 until 2003, there was a flip from public transport to cars. But if you look now from 2003 to 2008, we had different change, another change. And this change happened because people moved back to the city center. And the city center is where the tram has the best infrastructure, where the distance are shortest, where people can walk and can use a bicycle. And now this is our hope and chance, and we see that things can change. And also, it's good, this is our mayor to the right, if politics can see things are changing and maybe get an award for sustainable infrastructure and quality of life. So what we learned, if we improve the quality of life, we will attract businesses, we attract big businesses, and we improve also the situation for the workforce. So, sounds good? Good finish? Well, now, big challenge is, I'm a planner, so I have to look on the future, what's coming up? And for us, with those growth numbers, big numbers come up. So we have 585,000 people now, and now our growth expectations, Leipzig is always a little bit crazy, so forgive the big numbers here, but is over 700,000 people. And that would jump, Leipzig is number 10 now, I guess, in Germany, from 10 to 6. We were in fourth biggest city in the 1950s, so there are bigger cities in Germany. And we said, oops, my transport planners, we have a problem now. If we have that many people and we have 12 and a half more years to make them comfortable in the city, how shall we do this? And what we came up with, okay, make walking, cycling, and public transport more attractive. Make it so attractive that from here, this is 2008, every fourth of the trip by car in the year 2025 or 30 will be replaced by walking, public transport, and cycling. And this was a big political discussion. I'm not sure if you have discussions like this in Brno. If you do not have it, I think it's very urgent to think about discussing it, because in the end, it's not the transport planner who said where people should go and how they should move in the future, but it will be you, and you. Every day, you will decide which mode of transport you will use. And if you manage and can clear up some space, you can open up waterways. There was street before. You can clean up waterways and make this a livable space. This was a industrial compound before. Now it's a place where people can live. And before there was foam on the water, like 60 centimeters of foam swimming in the water. Now it's a place where people can take boat rides and enjoy the place. I want to come back to our city center. The city center is in this one in the very middle. It's difficult with the pointer. Yeah. It's within the green ring. You can see another ring. That's the city center. It's very compact. And what we started with was a situation like this, that all main streets was going to the city center and traffic was accumulating there and blocking public transport. So the decision was to build and plan a ring. The highway is finished, the green is finished, the blue one probably will never be finished, but it's a different story. And for this very city center, we said this is our living room. This is the living room for the people of Leipzig. This is our most precious place where people want to be and hang out, and it needs special protection. So it should be pedestrianized. It's quite compact. It's 700 meters by 900 meters. I'm not really familiar in Brno, but I would guess it's probably double in Brno than what we have here. So I can see you have a lot of potential to think about pedestrianizing the city center. I've seen beautiful places. I was just irritated when cars drive through there, but it's your story. And what we did in 2008, we checked our schedule, we checked our program for our car-reduced city center, and we created a backbone of pedestrian zones where cars could not cross anymore, could not go through anymore. Cars should have access to parking on this place, but they should not walk or drive through the city center. And we enlarged the pedestrianized area by more than 40% from what we had before. You've seen that already, and make it walkable and attractive to be there. So, you need a concept where to bring the car, where to park it. Our concept was at the ring, and our concept was to reduce the number of parking on the street in the city center. So we once counted 870 parking on the street. It's not maybe many. We have 6,000 in garage, so that's the ration. But we reduced it over a time period of 10 years by 230. Now it's a little less. And for example, we could change, this was a parking lot for 120 cars, into public spaces. And that's the benefit and the strong point what you can make and see for the people. The other point is, I mentioned already, Leipzig is flat, so it's very cyclable, and we heard about Denmark that there are big differences between flat cities and cycling countries. Germany is a growing or changing place, maybe it's not really a cycling country in that sense, but we want to be also improving our infrastructure and our possibilities for cycling, and also connect waterways with cycling infrastructure if it can be independent. We think in the city center about where to park the bicycle. It's very important in Leipzig because we have quite high ownership of bicycles, and we have a lot of people who like our bicycles and decided to take them whenever they find them. So actually, after Berlin, we have the second biggest bicycle steal problem in Germany now. But we try to fight it with better equipped bicycle parking and also make it possible to cycle to the pedestrianized area and then park the bike there and walk. Our university is in the city center, I mentioned that before. That means a lot of students come also by bicycle, so there are underground bicycle parking at the university. In total there's 1,700 parking lots, which for Germany is a big number. So that's why I said I'm not intimidated by Denmark, but we're growing, so we do something. And with the things we do, we're actually also quite successful. So this is a number that in Denmark cannot be reached, no problem. But for everybody who's a starter city and want to change something, that shows that people accept that challenge, that they go with that, and cycling is just growing. Once you give them the hand, the pinky, I guess, the little finger, they take the hand, they grab the hand, and they want to cycle. I didn't mention it yet, but one more point was that from the economical situation till 2013, Leipzig was the capital of poverty. That's not a flattering title in Germany. That means no money. That means how can we create safe infrastructure? And I noticed we have different philosophies. I want to go into more details. I don't have the time, but I want to show you how we create safe infrastructure. And for example, go fast, we have safety strips between the bike lane and the car opening. The doors of the cars can be opened in this way. Where we do not have this, there's more accidents. We have more than 50 accidents per year with the car of a driver opening. There's different models of bicycle routes. This is like cyclotras, I think, in Czech Republic. Or we changed streets from before like this, not the rich city. That's on the way to the city center. You see a lot of misuse. Cars are parked illegal on the sidewalk, and we discussed how we can change that. What can we make? What can we change? What can be different? And the idea was to have parking on the street, to organize bicycle infrastructure, and this is from before, and this is how it changed. And what you can see It's not a pretty street yet, but it's a safe street. It's not 60 and more km for the cars that drive illegally. 50 is allowed in Germany, maximum speed. But now they drive a suitable street. And we have place for the cyclist on a street, not on a sidewalk where they were driving before. And we gained place on a sidewalk for other uses. We even have place now between the parking to build quite minimal cost places, tree boxes for new trees that are planted by now. And it works. And we have this also, my last topic, we have this also, you need good role models. So this is now the International Transport Forum, but the topic is that, this is our mayor in the middle, that he invites all those politicians, all those ministers on the last day of the conference, take a bike, see how nice it can be. And you can see who's wearing the helmet is the minister. And on the left one, this is our bicycle delegate in his first year. When he was attending that, he's not wearing a helmet now. And you see who's not wearing the helmet, this is the president from the European Cycling Federation. So they make a statement there. Then it cannot be just a one-way situation, but the mayor must also take initiative for a citizen Bürgerstunde, how do you call this? Consultation hour on bike. So he said, okay, once a year we take a bike, the public pressure group from the ADFC organized a tour. We go the tour together and we discuss what's nice. We always have to, we are responsible for the sunshine. So we call it the light and shadow tour. We always find places where it's good infrastructure already or nice to cycle, and other places where it needs to be developed. And we can see that we're not the only ones. Also our guests are strong enough and have the courage to take the bike on the road. Thank you for your attention.